Welcome, everybody. This is Pablo Ashkabar, a.k.a. Ashanti McCormick, here with the Devil's Advocate podcast. I want to talk about WWE and its shady past of stereotyping and racism. It's pretty wild, if you ask me, and I wish I had one of my friends here to talk about it. Hopefully, I can get him on here so we can talk about it more. He's more of he knows me and him pretty much know a lot of wrestling stuff, but with him pretty much doing stuff with what culture wrestling, I feel like it would be a lot better to have him in it, but I'm gonna do it myself, so don't chew my head off, because I know a lot of information, and that's why I'm doing this podcast. So let's get started. I'm gonna talk about Hulk Hogan, which was the first person I ever heard about doing some racist shit. And it's weird because I knew about this, and they said this shit came up in 2015, and when 2015 came, I'm like, what? I thought everybody knew about Hulk Hogan being hella racist. He said, if my daughter's gonna date a nigger, I want her to date a 7-foot nigger with a lot of money. And then he says that's how he grew up, and that's how he was raised. Dude, that's bullshit. It's bullshit. I don't think nobody, there's a lot of parents that are racist that raise their kids to be racist, but in my head, I don't care. What you believe is on you, and you have to take accountability for that. And I just don't think that, personally, he didn't not mean that, if that makes sense, did not mean that shit. He really meant that shit. And there's a lot of shit that goes on in WWE where a lot of wrestlers back up these wrestlers because they're in fear of losing their jobs or becoming low-card jobbers, which means that you're just being a wrestler that gets beat up all the time. It's crazy because we live in an era where there's a lot of shit that goes on. You know how many black celebrities, black superstars, black athletes we have to look up to? And WWE pretty much holds that down. Pretty much, for instance, Vince McMahon, there's a wrestler named Carlito. Everybody knows Carlito. I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. He's told him to spick his image up a little bit more as this wrestler. What? Why spick up yourself? That what? Dude, for a person that says Martin Luther King is one of the people that he looks up to, he has one hell of a way of showing he's not racist. And I'm not saying Vince McMahon ain't racist. I'm not saying that, but I'm kind of saying that it kind of seems like it. The way he's handled WWE, for instance, Virgil used to be the pretty much the bag boy for the $1 Million Man, who was loosely portrayed as Vince McMahon. Virgil basically did all the things, pretty much cleaned up for the $1 Million Man, carried his bags and stuff. And one of the ways they showed that he was a strong black person when he turned on the $1 Million Man is that he learned to spell his name. Learn to spell his name. Soak that in for a second, because that just sounds like a lot of fucking BS, if you ask me. Because I don't think that, it just sounds crazy, like the Junkyard Dog. The Junkyard Dog was a black man that had a chain around his neck and went into the ring he was a good wrestler, an amazing wrestler, but he should have been promoted way differently than how he was. And all of this shit just stems down because at the end of the day, WWE does not back up their ethnic superstars. Ric Flair has been known for saying a lot of racist shit. Teddy Long said Ric Flair said a lot of racist shit. Charlotte Flair's ex-boyfriend said that her and Ric Flair said racist shit. And it's funny because she's dating this wrestler Andrade, who is Hispanic. It makes no sense to me how closed-minded WWE can be when it comes to racism within their own company. They've even said to the point where Triple H, during a promo before WrestleMania 19, said to Booker T, and I quote, "A person like you doesn't deserve to be a champion. A person like you is the type to carry my bags and shit." Yet the funny thing is, Booker T held that same world title that Triple H was holding in WCW. It amazes me how much they don't show any care for their superstars until like 2019, where they made Kofi Kingston the first African-born WWE champion. And no, his reign was great, but it was messed up because they just made him look like a joke for so long. But then they want to put him as a title. They want him to win the WWE Championship out of nowhere, and that was during the time where we're fighting for racial injustice. Like, we're fighting against racial injustice and shit. Like, this shit makes no sense how closed-minded WWE can be when it comes to their own superstars. Like, for instance, and it gets way worse than that. Like, Triple H has been known for been heard of calling his Hispanic wrestlers bumblebees. Hell, even CM Punk said that AJ Styles was suspected of being a racist. Like, it just all stems down to like, do you really care about your superstars to fight these accusations? Like, get these accusations, bring them to the table, and bring anybody who's saying racial or stereotypical things hold them accountable. Like, it's just sad how loose I've watched WWE since I was a kid, and now, like, sometimes I don't even, like, I watch it and then I see it and I see the things that they're doing, like Crime Time, for instance. I used to love Crime Time until I really opened my eyes and realized, like, they're stereotyping what they think black men are, as like people who are in gangs and stealing shit. Like, and no, Crime Time was two hell of a performers. They were great. JTG and Shad Gaspar, God rest his soul, were two hell of a performers that should have stayed in WWE but should have had different gimmicks because they had so much potential to rise to the top. And WWE consistently keeps their ethnic wrestlers to a standard. Like, they hold their ethnic wrestlers to more of a standard than they hold their Caucasian wrestlers. And and you can say anything you want to me about that, but that's facts. And at the end of the day, you don't, like, now they're pushing for all these ethnic wrestlers to become champions, like Keith Lee, for instance. The Hurt Business. You see, the Hurt Business has their own stable full of black. They make it, and it does. I like that. But I want to see more changes within the company itself. Like, Vince, can you really do that for yourself? Can you and Triple H and Stephanie McMahon really put the change into within the company? Because I still don't see any real change within the company. Like for instance, Lars Sullivan. Why is Lars Sullivan still getting a major push? And he's been caught up saying racial shit, and he's been caught up for saying some really sexually harassing women online. Like, what? Like, do you guys really care about your superstars like that? And that's where it all stems down to, because at the end of the day, like, if I was a wrestler in the business and I stepped forward back in the day against that shit, I would have been either a jobber or I would have lost my job. And the best thing about AEW, which is it's a good show. Like, AEW is like really good. Like, when it comes to wrestling, Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, strictly prohibited banned Hulk Hogan from forever being in the company or ever seeing a show ever. He banned him for life. He banned his ex-wife for life for comments she said on Twitter based on what was going on with the riots and the death of George Floyd. So at this point, AEW seems like they have a lot more balls to handle the shit that's going on within their business more than WWE. And I just wish WWE would do more. It's sad because I've grown up looking up to a lot of these wrestlers who I'm now finding out are more racist than the company itself. And that's why the company, and then when you see these wrestlers saying racist shit, now they want that shit blown up in 2015, and they still brought Hulk Hogan back. Now, and Hulk Hogan still does shows every now and then. Is that okay? I don't think it's okay. And at the end of the day, I'm not saying like these people can't be forgiven. I say maybe they can be forgiven, but not for me. Not for me. I really hold a standard. And if you grow up and your parents are racist, and that's on you to figure out what's right and what's wrong. I don't care what age you are. It's your right to figure out what's right. It's your decision to figure out what's right and wrong. And that's what I'm holding WWE accountable for. Like, they got to figure out what's right and what's wrong, and they know it. So WWE, stop the racial shit. Hold these wrestlers accountable. Just like the Fabulous Moolah. Like, y'all put her in the Hall of Fame, but you still know what she did prior to WWE. Like, hold your superstars and your whole company itself accountable. And that's all I gotta say. But I hope I can get one of my friends on here. He works with What Culture Wrestling. I want to get him more into this, because I feel like me and him could have a great discussion on this. But I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I know it's been short I know I've been slacking for a little bit, but we're back on it. I'm getting everybody what they want. I'm just trying to do the best I can to give you guys what you want, because that's what I want. Like, I want our voices to be heard. So with that, I say thank you. I hope you all have a great night. God bless, and fly away.